Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So Dungeon Craft is one of the YouTube channels in the D&D niche that I pay attention to. Now, I say pay attention to because I think you can see by the red bars on this screen, or should I say lack of red bars, that I don't watch every single video, but every so often, you know, I'll watch a video or two. And recently, I had a video come up on my feed from Dungeon Craft that caught my eye. This one right here, the thumbnail says, "Has D&D peaked?" And the title is Dungeons and Dragons Cooked? What the Data Reveals. Now, the reason this caught my eye is that about a month ago, another video from Dungeon Craft came up that seemed to be the opposite. And I was like, wait a second, I thought he just did a video saying the opposite. And this is that video right here, the Hasbro comeback. Hasbro and Wizards are winning, here's why. Now, at first I was like, oh, contradictory, flames, burn. And then I was like, well, it's not actually saying the opposite. It's one thing for Hasbro and Wizards to be winning and making more money, basically. But Dungeons & Dragons doesn't have to be making more money. Dungeons & Dragons doesn't have to be winning for their parent companies to be winning. So it's not inherently contradictory. But since it had caught my eye already, I was like, well, we should watch that video and see what's going on. And another fun little tidbit of information for you. I had actually planned over a month ago to release a video that I never ended up releasing. And that video is this one right here, where I purport that D&D is in the crapper, and I have proof. I literally have proof data that I have collected over the years that indicated to me that D&D was in the crapper. Now, I never actually released this video. It's quite literally sitting right here on my channel. I have uploaded it. I have put all the little stupid text crap on it. It's just unlisted. I've never released this video. And now that Professor Dungeon Master has released his video here, I am tempted to send this sucker live at some point. I don't know. It's a longer one, about 40 minutes long, but I do a deep dive into the reasons I think D&D is in a crapper. Now, we're not going to talk about that today. What I want to do today is I want to literally watch Professor Dungeon Master's video here that he just released, I think, a day ago as of the recording of this video, and then give you my thoughts, give you my reaction to the things that he's saying. And by the way, lest you think that I'm trying to throw shade at Professor Dungeon Master, I'm not. He and I know each other. We talk at conventions. We have each other's cell phone number. Like, he's probably going to send me a text message after this video comes out being like, Luke, nice video, or Luke, you're a piece of trash, let's go, you know. And the next time we meet at a convention, we'll either throw down or pat each other's back. I don't know. I'm sure we'll not throw down. He's a nice guy. He's really cool. I like him a lot. But anyway, that's what we're doing today, and he and I are cool. So I hope you can take this video in the way that it was intended to be taken, and not think that I'm trying to like start an online feud with Professor Dungeon Master or something. Now, before we jump in, I just wanted to say that I found this super spicy comment right here at the top that I am so tempted to make a video just basically ranting about this comment right here, because I totally could, and I feel like Professor Dungeon Master is he has too much class to stoop to the level of the person who posted this comment. But I have no class. I'm more than willing to do it. This guy says, I don't understand. Wizards of the Coast went through all the main ways you keep your audience. They lied to them, called them bigots, sent the Pinkertons after them, laid off half their staff, attacked third-party creators and influencers. What more could they do to guarantee growth? Like I said, I could rant on this. I could rant on this fool right here, but I'm not going to do so right now. We have more important things to talk about. But if you want to see that video, you just let me know. But first, I want to tell you about RPG Essentials 2, which is launching today on Kickstarter. Now, I'm really excited about this one because, as you can see, I backed RPG Essentials #1 and got myself tons of cool stuff. And what I got, tons of cool stuff, are these amazing acrylic, super high quality, like, I would have to really try to break these things acrylics. Like, I probably could. I'm a strong guy, but I don't want to because they're really cool. But these are top-down minis, basically, instead of, like, you know, miniatures or like M&Ms or peanuts or whatever you guys use these days to represent your battles in games. They come in these sheets right here, these acrylic punch-out sheets, and you punch them out, you get holes in the sheets, and then you get these high-quality minis. And by crap tons, I literally mean crap tons. Like, there's like, I don't know, hundreds, thousands. There was a lot of these things that I got. I haven't punched them all out yet. I just been punching out the ones I actually need, but there's lots of them. And you can get these binders where you can actually store them. All these, like, they got little like holes and slots and stuff where you can store them. One of these days I will get around to organizing my own collection, but until then I have a cool handy way to store them when I get there. And what makes this super cool is that for RPG Essentials 2, they are giving you over 400 high quality acrylic top-down minis for Tome of Beasts 1. Now, you guys may know that I have criticized Wizards of the Coast's official monsters as being a little lackluster, but Kobold Press almost always hits it out of the park with their monsters, which are way better than the official monsters. And now you can get acrylic minis to represent all of those monsters. Of course, they're also going to give you over 400 acrylic tokens for all of the classic D&D monsters from the 5th edition SRD. And you can see here that they are all to scale. So if it is a large dragon, it is actually the proper size for a large dragon, and so on and so forth. Like I said, they're doing this for Tome of Beasts. So you can see here on page 134, the adult wind dragon. You're going to get the acrylic mini to go along with that monster. And then over here, the Minotaur, you get the token for that. All top down, beautiful. Remember, you can't even break these things. I mean, you could like abuse them, run over with your car. You could spit on them, get them all wet and stuff. It doesn't matter. Like, these things are not going to get ruined. My cat Squeaky has joined us here to bite me as I'm trying to do this ad spot. Thanks, Squeaky. That's very helpful. Now, there is a link down below where you can go back this project and get your hands on these sweet acrylic minis. Now, I don't, as of the recording of this video, it hasn't launched quite yet, so I only have access to the pre-launch page. But when you're watching this, you should be able to see the real deal and go back this sucker. Man, you know, I went to such great lengths to get all of the cat hair off my shirt. I have one of those roller things before doing this recording, and here's Squeaky ruining all my effort and biting me. Did you see, was that on the camera? Did you see him bite me? He totally bit me. Okay, and now with no further ado, let's get into the main content. Listening to Professor Dungeon Master, what he's got to say, and then giving you my spicy reaction.
Has D&D's popularity peaked?
Yes, of course it's peaked. It's 100% peaked. It peaked during COVID. Basically during COVID, people were not working. A lot of them couldn't work because, you know, they sent you home because of COVID and crap, and then they weren't getting paid, and so the government gave them like a bunch of money because they weren't, you know, getting paid from their employers, and a lot of these folks were getting paid more money from the government than if they had actually been working, and so people had a crap ton of money during this time period, and they were stuck at home. So yeah, they were spending money, and guess what? They were spending some of it on D&D as well, and so it soared in sales, and I suppose popularity too, but sales for sure soared during COVID for reasons that we just talked about. So yeah, it absolutely has peaked, and now people got to go back to work and make real money, and so yeah, they can't spend as much money on D&D and stuff like that.
Has D&D's popularity peaked? I posed this question to my viewers. 60% of them said yes, 15% said no, 25% are not sure. There's no question Dungeons & Dragons is still the world's most popular role-playing game, but how popular is it? There seems to be a general malaise around the game, like it's not.
All right, I gotta stop it right there. We gotta look up malaise. What does malaise mean? Malaise. Can I spell it properly? Malaise, a general feeling of discomfort, illness, or uneasiness whose exact cause is difficult to identify. Well, I mean, I can tell you, I can identify the cause of the malaise. I mean, this is pretty simple. It's basically Wizards of the Coast has done a bunch of sleazy stuff in recent years, and people are kind of pissed off at them. You know, you had the OGL, you had the Pinkertons. I mean, you name it. You know, you have art scandals and stuff like that. You have the company laying off tons of people for their Merry Christmas layoffs. You know, they lie to you about the backwards compatibility of D&D 2024. I'm literally starting to run right now. I'm running some of the 2014 modules for D&D 5e. For instance, I'm doing Ghosts of Salt Marsh, and I'm going to sprinkle in Tales from the Yawning Portal adventures as well. And I think I actually still have one slot open in that game if anybody's interested. But I'm planning on running some old modules that I have on my shelves, and I'm like, should I do this in 2024, 2014? And I'm just like, okay, if I do it for 2024, I'm going to have to remake every single encounter and possibly large stretches of the modules to make sure that it is compatible with the massive power creep that we see in 2024 D&D. And so I'm just like, nope, I'm going to run it in 2014. There you go.
Part of the cultural zeitgeist in the way it...
Zeitgeist. Oh my gosh, with the big words. Professor, you are a professor. Zeitgeist. Meaning. All right. The defining spirit or mood of a particular period of history as shown by the ideas and beliefs of the time. You guys can all see him biting me, right? You see him biting me. He's jealous. He wants me to talk to him instead of you or something. I don't know. All right, cool. We got the nice our vocabulary is being enriched today. All right.
once was. So we are going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to talk sales figures today and answer that question. Has D&D peaked? Today on Dungeon Craft.
All right, I'm ready. We could probably skip this. The beautiful thing about YouTube now is you can literally see it makes it so easy for you to skip over stuff. Like half of you probably skipped over my plug for RPG Essentials 2, which was a mistake because those minis are cool. And then let's go over here. I think this is about where it picks up.
Starter set, and it should have been big news. And I noticed many Dungeon Tubers covered it, but the number of views on those videos just aren't that great. Mine only got 15,000 views and was my...
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about the new D&D starter set, and the views on the videos weren't that great and stuff, which is not surprising. Like, there's literally right now there's a pandemic of views right now on YouTube. They've changed some things in their algorithm that are causing views for a lot of people to just plummet down below. Essentially, what I've been told is that if you are viewing YouTube on a desktop and you have an ad blocker enabled, which I do, then your views are not counted by the algorithm, which means that the views on videos are showing lower because a lot of people use ad blockers, rightly so. And thus, ad revenue is going down for those creators because their views aren't getting counted. If they do sponsorships, their sponsors are seeing fewer views and they're not willing to pay them as much as they normally would because their videos are getting fewer views. So YouTube is having a little temper tantrum against people not wanting to see all the ads, understandably so, because they got to make money just like the rest of us. But I've always felt like review videos are never going to get super high views anyway, because if I have a review video that I follow Seth Skorkowski and his channel. He's a cool guy. I've talked to him at length at conventions. He's amazing. I love that guy. And we've talked at length, but a lot of his videos, the ones that pop up my feed at least, are review videos about usually like Call of Cthulhu modules and stuff. And if I'm not planning on running that module, like I just don't care. I'm not going to watch a review video about it. Now the day comes I'm going to run that module, I will search for videos or articles and stuff about it, and then I will read about it. So I've always felt like review videos are always going to underperform because most people aren't going to be interested in hearing about it unless they're planning on running it, or they heard about the module, in this case, the starter set, and they are thinking about buying it. Well, then they might watch the video, or they might do a search and find videos talking about the review module. So yeah, I don't think, in my opinion, I've never really done review videos because they've always drastically underperformed, and it's really not worth my time. And of course, I also have to read the starter set at the very least, and ideally actually play the starter set to give you a good review of it. And this has always been like my pet peeve about review videos about modules. It's like, if you haven't actually played through the starter set, like with a real group, then I don't think you're actually qualified to give a review of it, because like what you read is not always how it works at the game table. They are two drastically different things. Now, if you want to tell me it's not a review video, it's a first impressions video, that's a different story. But if you're going to review something, you best darn well have played the thing. Funny story. So Wizards of the Coast's public relations, or their marketing firm, reached out to me a couple of months ago, 3 months ago, and they wanted to pay me to do a video about the new starter set. And they were giving me about 2 or 3 weeks, something crazy, to turn around a review video on the starter set. And I'm just like, what? And I responded to them, and I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't have, you can't like reach out to me a few weeks before you need it and tell me that you need a review video about the starter set. Like, this doesn't work this way. Look, first of all, we got to like negotiate terms and stuff and get contracts going. Then you have to send me the starter set. Okay. Then I have to read it. And they wanted me to film videos of my gaming group playing the starter set. It's like, okay, I got to read the thing. I got to run games. I got to film the games. I got to cut the videos, and it's corporate, so you guys are going to have to review everything, right? And I'm just like, what? And I respond to them, and I'm just like, this is crazy. How could you possibly give me like 3 weeks turnaround time for what you're asking me to do? It's bonkers. How can I possibly say yes to this? And I don't know why they were reaching out to me. My suspicion is that they probably reached out to like their top candidates for paying people to review their videos, and a lot of those people were like, nah. I know one of my friends actually said yes to it, and he did one. But I think a lot of people were like, nah. And then they're reaching out to me. I must be at like the bottom of like Wizards of the Coast barrel for like people that they would actually want to reach out to and pay to review their projects. Although if you can get me to say that their product is good, I guess that maybe means it actually is good. But here's the thing too: if they wanted me to review their starter set, I would have to read I'd have to get it from them. I'd have to read it, and then I'd have to to actually like it. Like, what happens if they're going to be like, yeah, we're going to give you some money to review this thing. I read it, and then I'm just like, this is kind of meh. I don't like this. You know what I mean? Well, then it's all kind of hosed. And like, I've only got 3 weeks to do this whole process. Like, because I'm not going to tell you I like something if I think it's garbage, right? I'm not going to do that. So yeah, it was this whole thing, and I'm just kind of like, this is ridiculous. And then I shot back probably a very unprofessional response. I guess I should have been all like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll have to pass this time. It doesn't da 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 da. But I just basically told them like, no, not enough time, dude. Come on, you gotta give people more time than this, which they need to hear that because like, hello. But anyway. So that was the time that was the second time that Wizards of the Coast tried to pay me to endorse their products, and I said no both times. Yeah, they're probably not ever gonna talk to me again, but who knows? I thought they would never talk to me again after all of the bad OGL press that I gave them and all of the other things that I've said negatively about them, you know. But lo and behold, maybe the marketing firm didn't get the memo that this is the YouTuber who doesn't like us, or that talks trash about our crappy business decisions and the crappy things that we do as a company. So like, you know, don't be nice to him or whatever. I don't know. They didn't get the memo. I'm sure they're getting it now. We really got to get back to this video because like we're only 1 minute and 7 seconds into his 15-minute video. This does not bode well.
My worst viewed video of the entire year. And I'm reading fewer and fewer articles about D&D in mainstream news like the New York Times.
Like I said, it was your worst viewed video because nobody watches review videos, generally speaking.
The Wall Street Journal. And yes, I read the New York Times. I'm not saying no one is playing D&D anymore.
The New York Times. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The New York Times would be at the bottom of my list of reputable news sources to read. Just saying.
I just did a video on Gen Con and the games that were played there, and D&D is far and away the most popular role-playing game there is. I estimate Pathfinder, it's its closest competitor. It's about, I would say, 30% is popular. 20-sided tavern show had a successful run on Broadway. Now it's touring, and it's a lot of fun. I encourage you to see it. Critical Role just sold out.
You know, the interesting thing is even though D&D is like the most popular game at Gen Con, like half of the time when I go to a convention, I try to sign up for games. The annoying thing to me is that there are so many D&D games and there aren't enough games like Shadowdark. Like when I go to a convention, I don't want to play D&D. I want to play something like Shadowdark or Mothership or Pirate Borg or something. And it's really hard for me to find those games, which is really annoying. I actually signed up to help with the Shadowdark game mastering stuff, like to be a game master for Shadowdark. They sent out Shadowdark, the Arcane Library sent out a newsletter like 3 or 4 or 5 months ago. I don't know. It was a while ago. I can't remember. And I was like, yes, sign me up. And I responded to their forum and stuff. And I haven't heard anything yet. I don't know. I'm just waiting. I'd love to do some official organized Shadowdark games at a convention. Just saying. Just, you know how to reach me.
A show at Radio City Music Hall. Good for them. Dimension 20 just played Madison Square Garden. All that seems to be running in D&D's favor, but that could be just a case of Critical Role in Dimension 20 being popular. And
100%. Like, the Critical Role could run whatever game system they want, and people probably wouldn't even notice the difference because most of that show or Dimension 20's show has much less to do with the game system they're using and much more to do with their performances, with their acting, with their voices, and all that kind of stuff that they're doing. That is like 90% of the reason people watch those shows. And like there's 9% other reasons. I think 1% of the reason people watch those shows is probably because it's D&D or whatever game system they're running. Like they could run a game system you've never heard of, and I bet you their viewership would be unaffected because you still have the actors and the performers there that are pulling the audience in.
And not necessarily the Dungeons & Dragons game system itself.
Okay, random ad spot with no introduction. We're gonna find out where we can skip over this. Woo! Dun 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 dun. There we go.
One indicator is going to be when Hasbro reports their next quarter earnings, which is going to be next week, probably the week that this episode airs. I think it's on the 23rd of October. Now, my prediction is
that their earnings are probably going to go up because they've been laying people off. And if they don't go up, they're going to lay more people off.
Will not mention D&D. They will mention Wizards of the Coast, Magic, Magic Arena, and Wizards Digital. But Dungeons & Dragons will get a pass. And if they don't mention Dungeons & Dragons, that's an indication that the sales for this new edition are either underwhelming or are only meeting expectations. Because
I mean, that makes sense. If they don't mention it, it definitely means that, because why draw attention to something that's not working? If you can focus on, if you can, this is your corporate earnings statement that shareholders are going to read, right? So you want to spin as much as you can to make sure that shareholders don't lose interest in your company and like uninvest in crap. You want to spin how things are going, how you're going to improve it and stuff, so they'll be remain like confident in your company. You know what I mean? So you gotta do the spin stuff, absolutely. And if you don't mention D&D, it means it's underperforming.
Because if they were really outstanding, they would be crowing about it in that earnings report. But let's look at some sales figures.
When does the earnings report come out? Like, this has got to be a thing we can find. Hasbro Q3 earnings. It's supposed to come out 1 hour ago. It literally released today. Are you kidding me? Did we get super ultimate lucky in my recording? Yes, I am recording this on October 23rd, and it literally released today. Okay, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to try to find the information if they talk about D&D, and then we'll resume. Okay, right here is the big headline. Hasbro delivered another quarter of growth, highlighting the strength of our brands and playing to win strategy, said Chris Cox, Chief Executive Officer, Hasbro. Wizards of the Coast led the way as Magic the Gathering continues to break records and make up for losses in other areas of the business. Consumer products POS and market share accelerated ahead of the holiday, and our high-margin licensing business, we've heard before how they're really leaning into licensing, is unlocking new opportunities. With major announcements coming at the Game Awards in December, we're poised to enter 2026 with momentum. I mean, this is good news for people that might otherwise get laid off, I suppose. If they're making money, then layoffs are less likely for your Merry Christmas gift from the company. I'm not going to crawl through this whole thing, but I'm just going to do a quick search here and see if I can find Dungeons and Dragons and see how many times they mention it. Through its franchise-first approach, Hasbro unlocks value from both new and legacy IP, including Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so they might be making some money. There are 3 times they mentioned Dungeons and Dragons. By the way, in this entire report, 3 times they mentioned Dungeons and Dragons. So let's go down to the next one. Hasbro Total Gaming includes all gaming revenue, most notably Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and Hasbro Gaming. So that doesn't really help us a whole lot. So digital licensed gaming, I mean, I don't know, whatever. Oh my gosh, 21%. Oh, it went down 21. No, up 1. So their digital and licensed gaming went up 21%. Wow, look at that. Their operating profit went down 7% or something. But whereas they do not call out D&D as a line item. What they are doing is it looks like what they're doing is they are Hasbro Total Gaming. They are lumping in Dungeons and Dragons into this Hasbro Total Gaming category because they don't really want to show you that what D&D is specifically doing. This category right here, Hasbro Total Gaming, includes Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and Hasbro Gaming, but they already have a line item for Magic the Gathering. So that doesn't, I don't know, I'm not like a professional in reading these reports, but to me, if there's already a line item for it and you're looping it in a second time in a different category, that really speaks to me of obfuscation. Like they're trying to hide something. They don't want you to know. I mean, I have a biased, obviously, perspective in reading this, but it seems like they don't want you to know that Dungeons and Dragons is tanking because they're looping it in and obfuscating the actual details. So thus far, Professor Dungeon Master is hitting the nail on the head. Oh, number 3. And again, it's the same footnote. Hasbro Total Gaming includes the revenue from this. So we're not really getting anything else. They're not going to call out specifically D&D in the sales report. So that answers that question and confirms Professor Dungeon Master is correct.
And the data I'm going to look at are the sales of the players' handbooks of the various editions, because only one of your players might buy the GM's Guide, but everyone's going to buy that player's handbook. So it's common knowledge that 5th edition is the best-selling version of D&D ever. How many copies do you think the 5th edition Player's Handbook, the one released in 2014, sold? We're going to make it into a little bit of a game. I'm going to give you a multiple choice.
Games. Let's do it. Games.
And Deathbringer is going to be my Vanna White. So,
I don't know if Deathbringer makes a good Vanna White. He's probably just gonna call everybody a fool or say he's gonna like kill us or something. Deathbringer's not a nice guy. Okay, so 2024 Player's Handbook. I'm gonna guess. I mean, let's go with these are all in the same ballpark, so these numbers are kind of meaningless, but I'll go with C just for kicks.
Did sell A, 1.2 million, B, 1.4 million, or C, 1.6 million? Deathbringer,
1.6 million.
Question 2. How much did the first edition Player's Handbook sell in comparison?
First edition? Let's go with C, 1.5 million.
A, 750,000 copies, B, 1 million copies, or C, 1.5 million
These numbers are actually spaced out a whole lot more than the last group, so yeah.
copies. What's the answer, Deathbringer?
You fool! It was 1.5 million
You see, he called me a fool. Oh, Deathbringer, you have no idea what you started.
copies.
The media narrative has always been the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons was so much more popular than all the other previous editions.
Of course it's been their narrative. They want to sell books. Anybody who has a motive to spin something to achieve a certain outcome is going to tell you what they need to tell you to achieve their goals. Okay? Like if you could avoid outright lying, but if you can just kind of manipulate things somehow so that it's like maybe borderline ethical, moral, but you're still not lying to people, then you're going to do it. And if you have to lie a little bit, oh, whoops, we'll print a retraction that nobody will see.
That had brought D&D into the mainstream.
I mean, they've been telling us that 2024 is backwards compatible with 2014, and we know that's not true. Those of us who have tried running modules from 2014 with characters from 2025. So, like, you know, but you could print a retraction and, well, you know.
They're playing it on Big Bang Theory with William Shatner, so it must be so much more popular than it was back in the 80s. But in fact, 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons at its peak was only about as popular as D&D was in its peak years of 1980 to 83. Next question, how many copies did the second...
Now, this is the second edition is the game edition I started playing when I was in high school. And these numbers are not quite all in the ballpark, but I'm gonna go with C again. I'm gonna say C because I'm just guessing C for all of these. I really think that these multiple choice questions should be like A, B, C, and then there should be like a D, which is all of the above. There should be an E, which is none of the above, and there should be an F, which is like A and C. Like that's how a true teacher would do this to make sure, you know, that the students actually know the answer and aren't just guessing.
edition.
I literally had a teacher like that. My history teacher in 9th grade, I think, did his tests like that. And it's like you had to actually study to pass those tests.
Player's Handbook sell? A, 550,000. B, 750,000. C, 950,000.
You fool! It was
He called me a fool again. What a jerk.
750,000.
And I think that's on the high
At least he hasn't like threatened to kill me quite yet.
end of estimates. Now, if you were like me in the 80s and the 90s, I could have sworn that it was just as popular as the first. I was going to Gen Con and I saw with my own eye.
I was like 5 years old in the 80s. Like all 10 years of the 80s, I was 5 years old. So yeah, I wasn't playing D&D at that point.
Gen Con changed from 1989 to the early 90s, where everyone abandoned first edition, went to second edition. And attendance at Gen Con skyrocketed, more than doubled from what it was in the 1980s. This is a picture of the TSR Castle as photographed by future Wizards president Peter Atkinson. And everyone I knew seemed to be playing it, so I assumed it was just as popular when, in fact, I was living in my own bubble.
We all live in our own bubbles. Come on. We all do. We all do.
I think what happened is this. I was the generation that was like on Stranger Things, the kids that discovered it in the early 80s. And by the early 90s, what had happened was there were a core of us that continued to play into the 90s, but the rest of the players fell away, and they either discovered sports or cars or girls, and they stopped.
Yeah, they stopped playing. Well, I mean, shoot, if you're playing like D&D in the basement with your friends and like killing dragons and stuff and getting gold and loot, pieces of paper and erasers and pencils, and then you discover girls, like, oh yeah, you're gonna stop playing D&D. Hello, that's a no-brainer.
Playing D&D, whereas
Unless you can get a girl to come, or multiple girls to come play in your D&D game, and then you're golden, right? You're all set.
Myself and a few of my select friends, we really became role-playing game enthusiasts, branching out to other games.
I'm a bad person, I suppose. I just like saying what everybody's thinking, except for the girls. The girls are all like, "You boy D&D players have dirty minds." I think we should continue. Proceed, Professor.
Call of Cthulhu and Warhammer and Champions, Mech Warrior, other games besides D&D. And those Gen Con attendee figures seem to reflect that. But what was really happening is the people who were enthusiasts became more enthusiastic while general audiences fell away. How many copies did the 3rd edition sell?
C. Of course it's C. Don't call me a fool or I swear I will go off.
A, 500,000. B, 750,000. C, 1 million copies. Deathbringer?
You fool! It was 1 million copies.
3rd edition not only brought old...
All right, it's on now. I'm going to find something really spicy to say somewhere in this video. Throw shade. It's go time, Professor. Actually, I should be angry at Deathbringer, which I'm pretty sure is Professor just doing a special voice.
Players back and introduced the game to new players, but it had innovative mechanics, including a standardized bonus system for your 3d18 ability scores, doing away with THACO and replacing...
Yay! Got rid of THACO! Piece of trash, THACO system. Man, wow. This is where people in the comments are going to be like, "I love THACO. THACO's not that hard. What's wrong with you?" Arrgh! Hitting me with like their first player or second edition books and stuff. Like, THACO's not hard. I started with THACO with 2nd edition, and I got to tell you, when we didn't have to do that anymore, whew, wow, life better.
Replacing it with ascending armor class, feats, and more really changed the game. How much did the 4th edition Player's Handbook sell? A,
Nothing. 4th edition sucked. It bombed. I remember I went to a game store when 4th edition had come out, and I like browsed through it a little bit, and I was like, nope, I'm just going to keep playing 2nd edition.
300,000 copies. B, 500,000 copies. Or C, 1 million copies.
Oh, I got to guess. A. I'm going to go with A. I'm going to break it.
Deathbringer?
You fool! 300,000 copies.
When the book was released, Wizards said it had outsold the previous edition in terms of its first month sales. But then, news reports say the sales dropped off a cliff.
Notice this, okay? This is 4th edition D&D, which we all know was a fantastic failure. Most people hated it, unless you're all just kind of like, "Oh, I like it." Whatever, that's fine. But we all know that it was a failure. And yet Wizards of the Coast, back when it was released, was claiming that its sales were phenomenal at the very beginning when it was released. Phenomenal sales. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound like something we've heard from Wizards of the Coast in the last year or so? Remember that. Keep that in mind, if you will.
Myself remember getting the 4th edition Player's Handbook, reading it, and then returning it the next day.
Yeah, because they were literally trying to make it into World of Warcraft. Like, that was their goal. WoW was like making crap tons of money, and then Wizards was like, "We got to get on this bandwagon and make money with..." Yeah, it wasn't D&D as you knew it, and so you returned it. Yeah, a lot of people I probably did that. Or they just stopped playing it, and they're like, "This sucks," and they went back to whatever edition they preferred.
And I think a number of players felt that way. It just didn't feel like D&D. And because Wizards of the Coast has never actually released sales figures, it's really impossible to say, but I estimate...
Just like they're never going to release sales figures for D&D 2024 because it would completely, almost assuredly contradict their narrative of it being the bestseller.
It's less than 500,000. It didn't even sell half of what 3rd edition did. There's also a misconception that 3rd edition didn't sell well, and that's why they replaced it so soon and did that turnaround quickly going to the 4th edition.
I loved 3rd edition. When I was doing 3rd edition, I loved 3rd edition. I had no problems at all with it. I would say that I like 3rd edition about as much as I like 5th edition. Now, there was a whole bunch of broken crap with 3rd edition that was a problem, but I love 3rd edition. I really did like it.
But the truth is, It's just because the suits wanted the game to be more like World of Warcraft. And that was confirmed in my interview with Mike Merles, and he worked on both of those editions. Yeah, and he confirmed it. The suits came in and said, we want D&D to be more like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I mean, suits are idiots. Like suits are the ones that dreamed up the OGL. Suits are the ones that sent Pinkertons. Suits are the ones that have all of these really crummy ideas, right? And they make all the money too. Like I'm a suit for my own company, and I guarantee you that my employee behind my back is like, yeah, Luke's a jerk. I hate Luke. Stupid suit. Like I never wear a suit. Do I own a suit? I own one suit for special occasions, and I don't particularly enjoy wearing it, but I paid some money for it, so I do wear the stupid thing. But yeah, suits are generally making crappy decisions for various things, you know. But as long as they can maximize, you know, the amount of money they can get out of people's pockets, then that's all the companies usually care about.
Was the orders.
Of course, that didn't happen for 4th edition D&D. That kind of failed, backfired on them.
So now we come to the 2024 edition. How many copies of the Player's Handbook has it sold? Deathbringer?
You fool! It's a trick question. No one knows.
No one
What
knows.
Wizards of the Coast said in a statement is, quote, the 2024 Player's Handbook is the fastest selling Dungeons & Dragons product of all time in its first week.
How do you, okay, it's the fastest selling. So they're measuring the velocity, okay, in the first week. Okay, so if you have, yeah, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot, because you can build up a bunch of hype, sell something, but then if ongoing sales are abysmal, that really just means that you lied to people, hyped them up, they bought the thing, and then they're not very impressed with it. They tell their friends, and then sales just flatline or plummet, right? So selling quickly at the very beginning is not a measure of the strength of a product. It is a measure of the strength of your marketing and how much hype you can build around something, right? Longevity of sales is going to require the product to actually be high quality. This is my opinion. I'm not a professional on these things, but this is just, you know, how I think it probably works.
Jess Lanzillo, formerly the vice president of Dungeons & Dragons, said it sold more in the first month than the 2014 Player's Handbook sold in its first 2 years. Data from BookScan shows the 2014 Player's Handbook sold 127,000 copies.
Okay, I'm going to bring up Notepad so we can keep track of this. So this is 2014, right? 2014. What did he say? Hold on, we got to go back. I'm going to lose track of these numbers. I got to put these on the screen. Professor, you should have put these on the screen for us. All right, let me see. Where are we going?
Handbook sold in its first 2 years. Data from BookScan shows the 2014 Player's Handbook sold 127,000 copies.
Okay, we're going back over here. 127,000. In what period of time? In what period of time, Professor?
Copies in its first 52 weeks. That's
okay. The first 52 weeks. Copies in first 52 weeks. I'm a visual person, I guess. When he reads out numbers without putting them on screen, I just don't know what's going on. So here we go. This is the 2024 PHB. All right.
about the first year. For the sake of argument, let's assume the 5th edition sold just as many copies in the second 52 weeks as it did in its first 52 weeks. And let's throw in an additional 50,000 copies for good measure. That means it sold something like 300,000 copies. That would be the number that Jess Lenz.
Okay, so what he's saying then is a 2014 PHB would sell about 300,000 copies in the first 2 years. I think that's what he just got done saying. I hope I'm getting this right.
Zillow is alluding to, and that's a very believable number because the 4th edition sold about 300,000 copies in its first couple of months. But as we saw with 4th edition, that doesn't mean that the game is continuing to sell well. Again, we'll be able to glean some details from this latest third quarter report. Wizards comes out and says,
so so they're saying, so hold on a second. What did he say? I'm getting confused in what he actually said. What did she say? That lady with the big glasses. I hate designer frames like that. They just look so goofy on people. Where was he?
knows.
What Wizards of the Coast said in a statement is, quote, the 2024 Player's Handbook is the fastest selling Dungeons & Dragons product of all time in its first week. Jess Lanzillo, formerly the vice president of Dungeons & Dragons, said it sold more in the first month than the 2014 Player's Handbook sold in its first 2 years.
Okay. So supposedly she said that, and I'm trying to get this all right, 2024 Player's Handbook sold over 300,000 in the first week. The week? Squeaky, quit biting me.
Data from BookScan, vice president of Dungeons & Dragons, said it sold more in the first month than the 20...
Month. Okay, the first month. This is the value of putting words on screen. Okay, in the first month. So supposedly they have sold, what they're saying is Wizards of the Coast is claiming that the 2024 Player's Handbook has sold over 300,000 copies in the first month. The first month. And that beats what the 2014 Player Handbook has sold in the first 2 years. Aha! I don't know if I buy that. Oh, shoot. What are you doing? I'm trying to save it. My habit of Control S. Always Control S-ing so I don't lose stuff. I don't think I buy that. I think that's some horse crappery. I think that is more like hype. That's spinning narratives and stuff to get like people think, oh my gosh, if it's selling that many books, then oh my gosh, it must be amazing. I should go buy it. Ah! You know what I mean? That sounds like some marketing stuff to me.
The 14 Player's Handbook edition sold just as many copies in the second 52 weeks as it did
trying to get caught up to where I was supposed to be.
First 52 weeks. And let's throw in an additional 50,000 copies for good measure. That means it sold something like 300,000 copies. That would be the number that Jess Lanzillo is alluding to. And that's a very believable number because the fourth edition sold about 300,000 copies in its first couple of months. But as we saw with fourth edition, that doesn't mean that the game...
Really? So, and then we have data for that. That is super interesting. Okay, so I guess I was wrong in my previous comment. That's interesting.
Is continuing to sell well. Again, we'll be able to glean some details from this latest third quarter report. Wizards comes out and says, yeah, we sold 1 million copies. It's a big hit. Well, then this speculation is all wrong. But if they say nothing...
They said nothing. We have the report. We literally were looking at the report and they said nothing.
That's an indication that sales are lower than they expect. So let's talk about some of the reasons D&D seems to have peaked. One, players just didn't want a new edition. They were happy with...
No, I didn't need a new edition. I totally didn't. What I wanted them to do was I wanted them to stop with the power creep is what I wanted. I wanted them to stop power creeping with every new character option they released. And I wanted them to fix the challenge rating system so I could design encounters that weren't broken. I wanted them to fix the current edition somehow. I didn't want a new edition with new overpowered characters. That's not what I wanted at all as a game master.
With the old one, or thought the new one was too expensive for the minimum changes that they perceived. I call this the iPhone problem. All my friends own iPhones.
Yep, there were minimal problems. D&D 5th edition is a really well-designed game in a lot of ways. There are a few problems here and there that needed to be addressed, okay? But other than those few problems, there's nothing wrong with it as a game system. It is a solid game system, all right? I still like it. It's one of the reasons I'm starting to run Ghosts in Salt Marsh right now. So like, it's a solid game system. It had a few problems here and there that should be addressed, but it wasn't falling apart and coming unhinged, right? Like I kind of am with my ranty statements in this video, but like it needed minimal changes, and they were like, new edition. Like, we don't need a new edition. We need minimal changes.
Phones, but none of them seem to be rushing out to get the latest version. You remember the old days when people would line up around the block? They had to be the one to get the new iPhone. But now
My wife was literally making fun of iPhones the other day for this same reason. Like, I don't know what they're like on iPhone 34 right now. I don't know what it is. And she's like, all of these iPhones are like pretty much the same as the last one. There's like really no difference in them. You know what I mean? And all the dumb little kids are like, I got to have the most recent iPhone so I can be cool with my friends and stuff, and moronic parents oblige them, not realizing that their phones are ruining their lives in many different ways. But that's another topic for a video that doesn't belong on this channel, I think.
my friends are like, what do I need higher camera resolution for? I don't really need it. I can survive with my iPhone 13 or whatever. And that may be.
My wife has like an iPhone 8. Actually, I think she has like a 11 or 12 or 13 or something, but she still has an iPhone 8 that works just fine too. She has like a couple of them.
The case with 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, where it's so resilient, so robust that players just don't see the need to upgrade. No.
I 100% agree with that. I just got done making a statement about that. It is a very good game system. There's no need to upgrade. And the changes that we needed are not the changes that they gave us in 2024. So in my book, it's a disappointment.
Number 2, COVID lifted sales of 5e to artificially high levels. With adults and kids locked inside for months at a time with no sports, game sales.
That was perfect. The background. Hold on.
Don't see the need to upgrade. Number 2, COVID lifted sales of 5e to artificially high levels. With adults and
the background. Oh, plus putting on the mask. Oh, it's Professor Dungeon Master. You are an evil genius.
kids locked inside for months at a time with no sports. Game sales just exploded.
And they were like online school, which meant that they could just alt tab to like games or chatting and stuff, and they would be learning at the same time as they were doing who knows what.
And Dungeons and Dragons is one of those games. A lot of parents probably thought, okay, I remember playing as a kid. I could run it for my kids. Of course, when COVID ended, everyone went back to soccer practice. Number 3.
Soccer practice. Let's go with football. Let's go with football or baseball or MMA or something. But soccer, it's like, that's a lot of running. It's a lot of running, and you can't punch people. So, not my sport of choice.
The media stopped covering it. I remember in 2018, 2019, there was
or hockey. Hockey's nice. Hockey gets some fights. You got to go to like the professional hockey, because like the college hockey, they're not allowed to fight, which is ridiculous. You should be able to any hockey game. You should be able to fight, whether you're like in pee-wee hockey or all the way up to the pros or like the old timers league. Hockey, you should be able to fight. That is like what characterizes that sport. And anybody who thinks otherwise, fight me in the comments. I don't know. You're wrong.
Always an article in my feed about how D&D isn't just for nerds anymore. And it was always accompanied by a picture of some Williamsburg, Brooklyn type hipster in a pork pie hat, sipping an IPA.
Again, Professor Dungeon Master, the background, this guy's an evil genius.
And playing Dungeons and Dragons at their local microbrewery. And that was before COVID, and I think it was because the senior reporters were sort of my age and they had played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, and so they liked the idea of it coming back. And those stories stopped around the time of COVID, and they just haven't come back to my feed since then. Number 4, anger at Wizards of the Coast. There's a variety of what people are.
I think a lot of people are upset at them and stuff they've been doing, and that's why they don't buy any products anymore from them. Like I still play D&D 5th edition, but I don't buy any new books from them. That's definitely a motivator for me not to give them money.
Angry. You got the OGL controversy where Wizards of the Coast tried to crush every third-party creator.
Yes, they did. They 100% did. The sleazy buttheads. And now, and the irony is their attempt to crush every other third party has led to the rise of third-party publishers who are now first-party publishers. You got Shadowdark, you got DC20 by my friend Alan from Dungeon Coach with DC20, Dungeon Coach. Yeah, Dungeon Coach. I had it right. Everybody's got a dungeon these days. Dungeon Coach, Dungeon Craft. Like you got all of these people releasing their own game systems that are competing with D&D, and they have audiences and they're bringing people over. So yeah, the OGL is leading to their decline in a lot of ways, I think. Like I'm going to be releasing my own game system called No Quarter in January to my patrons. So like, yeah, everybody and their brother is making new game systems in part because like, well, we got cool ideas and stuff and things we want to do, but also because screw you, D&D. You know what I mean? If you're going to try to crush us, let's show you what's up.
are upset at the quality of Wizards of the Coast products, like releasing a Spelljammer game without spaceship combat.
Oh my gosh, Spelljammer, that was just, oh, how could you be that stupid? Give me a break. Everybody was complaining about that. You morons. Holy crap. That's like releasing Dungeons and Dragons without dragons. You're a moron for doing that. Wow.
Some are upset about Hasbro sending the Pinkertons after that YouTuber who leaked a magic card. Others are upset about AI. Some are angry at the orc controversy or the perception that Dungeons & Dragons is overly politically correct. Now, it's Billy
Yeah, there's always that. Yeah.
Joel saying there is always a place for the angry young man, and that is in the comments below. And as long as you're respectful, I'll let that comment stand. And you can't dismiss that. These controversies, I believe, have had an impact on sales. That said, I'm not sure it's had the impact that some people think. Most people just don't care. Like, yeah, Pinkerton.
Oh, should we skip ahead, Squeaky, or should we watch the rest of this video? He doesn't care.
That's sad, but I want the latest edition so I can build my artificer. I meet and talk to a lot.
Did they include the artificer? Did they include the artificer in the 2024 version of D&D? I could have sworn that there was a core class that was not included in the core edition and that people were upset about that, but I can't remember which class it was.
A lot of people at conventions, and my perception is that a lot of players of Dungeons & Dragons have no idea these controversies are even a thing. 5, D&D.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think a lot of people are not aware of it, 100%.
Is just not cool anymore. This is the Mike Merle's theory in an interview with Ben Riggs. He likened Dungeons and Dragons to hair metal bands in the...
I don't know if it's not cool anymore, because I got to tell you, like, in the real world, when I'm talking to, like, normal people, like, almost everyone I talk to knows what D&D is, you know, and if something is that mainstream, well, it doesn't necessarily mean it's cool, I suppose, if people know about it, but I guess a lot of people know about it, which in the past, I don't think they did.
The 1990s, it was like hair metal was out and Nirvana and Pearl Jam were in, and like that's the way the zeitgeist went. And it's the same.
These big words again, Professor, but I already looked that one up, so I know what it means. I forgot.
Same thing. The hype has gone to Daggerheart, Draw Steel, Pirate Borg, Shadowdark, Mothership, and anything print.
Why is nobody mentioning Dungeon Coach's DC-20? Holy crap, what does this guy got to do to get some love? Make another $5-10 million and then like take over Wizards of the Coast in sales? Like nobody mentions DC-20, and it was like the... Oh, good gravy.
Printed by Free League. My perception is there are D&D enthusiasts and there are role-playing game enthusiasts. And the role-playing game enthusiasts are the ones moving to other games. And
yeah, 100%. I think that's very, very true. Like, I'm moving to other games and people I know are moving to other games and stuff. You know what I mean? Because we found that there are other games that are better than D&D. I mean, it's, how do you say better? It's so subjective. They're better in certain ways, or they're better in ways that you're more interested in, or they're scratching a different itch or something or other. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I'm still going to play D&D, you know, but like there are other games that are better in certain ways that I like more, you know, for certain reasons, you know? So yeah, but I definitely think a lot of people are moving on.
No, like music aficionados. You know, Bon Jovi was still big in the 90s.
Oh, wow. That's some messed up stuff right there. These ladies need to get some haircuts.
1990s, they had...
I just ticked off a bunch of people. I bet you.
Hits, but they were never as cool as the Pixies.
They have haircuts. Look at this. They have like haircuts. They go to the barber or whatever.
At least that's what I think. You can sound off in the comments. If you're a Bon Jovi fan, you can defend his honor.
I don't even think I've ever listened to a Bon Jovi song. Well, not that I'm aware of. I'm sure I have heard one, but I just don't know.
Full disclosure, I live in New Jersey, the Bon Jovi state, and we actually have a Bon Jovi rest stop where they actually play...
Oh, Professor Dungeon Master hates me now for sure. I don't even know who this guy is. He's like, I'm in the Bon Jovi state, Luke, and you don't know who he is? I actually have been to New Jersey once in my lifetime, and I told my wife all about it, and we have resolved never to go there. Like, she's like, Luke, don't ever go there again. I'm like, I don't plan on it. I never plan on going to New Jersey ever again. Wow.
Only Bon Jovi music. So depending on who you are, it's either heaven or the ninth circle of hell. But these TTRPG enthusiasts have long moved on from Dungeons and Dragons, and they are craving variety. And I think that may be one reason so many people have fallen away. And
I think it's variety, but we also, I don't want combats. Why do my combats have to last 3 or 5 hours? I'm exaggerating, obviously, but like a combat doesn't need to last 30 minutes to an hour. You know what I mean? Like there are other game systems that can do combat and it doesn't take your entire game session, you know, and there are other reasons people are moving on too, obviously.
And the same thing happened back in the 80s. Like D&D was always the entry point, and then the players like myself that stayed, we got into more esoteric games. And
Esoteric. Oh, the thesaurus. We got to whip out the thesaurus again. Hold on. Esoteric meaning. Intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. There is some irony involved in my having to look up the definition of esoteric. I'm on to him.
6, players are just waiting for their current campaign to end. This seems to be the path the Dungeon Dudes have taken with Dungeons of Drakenheim, and Critical Role has taken as well. They wrapped up their previous campaign. Brennan Lee Mulligan wants to run the latest edition of 5e, so that's what they're doing moving forward. And I think a lot of players feel the same way. It's like, we're right at the end of this campaign. We understand how the rules work. Everyone's 10th level. We've got this epic showdown. We don't want to introduce funky new rules and screw it up. We'll just finish and then restart with first level characters for the new campaign. And that is a plausible explanation as well. And that's what
I mean, one of the reasons that I'm going to be running my Ghost of Salt Marsh campaign in D&D 2014 is that I don't want to have to learn all these new rules too. Yeah, I mean, that is a motivating factor. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have time for that. I'm already going to have to, like, you know, read and prepare the modules. I don't want to have to also learn a new rule set. Oh my gosh. So yeah, totally 100%. A lot of that makes sense.
what I think. But now it's time for you to sign off. Do you think Dungeons and Dragons has peaked in terms of popularity?
I think we're closing the video out. That's pretty much the end of the video. This is turning out to be like a 1 hour long reaction video. If you made it this far, you are a special breed of human being. Let me know down below if you made it this far, and there's probably going to be some videos popping up here you can watch, which are all guaranteed to be much shorter than this one, 100%. So thank you for hanging out, sticking around, and Professor Dungeon Master, you know, you're cool, dude. I hope I didn't just start a feud with you. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave now before my big mouth gets me in any more trouble.